The forbidden gospel of Judas, Jesus' betrayer, tells his side. For 2,000 years, one name has meant betrayal: Judas Iscariot. His story, the kiss in the garden that sealed the fate of Jesus Christ, is practically burned into our collective memory. But what if that story, the one we all think we know, is completely wrong? What if the greatest act of treachery was actually an act of radical obedience? Out of the Egyptian desert, a lost gospel surfaced. A text, lost to the world for over 1,600 years, that claims to be a secret conversation between Jesus and the one disciple he trusted most: Judas. This forbidden account flips the entire story on its head. It suggests Judas didn't betray Jesus. He was following orders. We're going to investigate the most controversial manuscript in biblical history and ask the big question: was Judas a traitor, or was he the chosen disciple on a divine mission? Section 1. The Discovery. A Race Against Time. Our story doesn't start in ancient Jerusalem. It kicks off in the 1970s in Egypt. Near the village of Elmina, some treasure hunters stumbled upon a leather-bound book, a codex, inside an old cave. Having no idea what they'd found, they sold it into the murky, unregulated world of the antiquities black market. For years, this priceless artifact, which we now call the Codex Chacos, began a journey that almost destroyed it. It was passed from one dealer to another, none of whom had a clue how to preserve the fragile papyrus. At one point, it sat in a safe deposit box in New York for 16 years, where the humidity just ate away at it. Then, in a horribly misguided attempt to save it, another owner actually stored it in a freezer. This disastrous move caused the ancient ink to flake off and the papyrus to shatter into 1,000 brittle pieces. By the time scholars finally got wind of its existence in the early 2000s, it was a full-blown race against time. The Mecenas Foundation for Ancient Art got a hold of the decaying manuscript and, teaming up with the National Geographic Society, launched a massive rescue mission. They brought in a dream team of the world's top experts in Coptic language, paper conservation, and ink analysis. They were literally trying to piece history back together, one fragile scrap at a time, trying to reconstruct a text that hadn't been read since the days of the Roman Empire. And as the words started to emerge, they revealed a gospel unlike any other, a text that early church fathers had condemned as heresy and ordered to be destroyed: the Gospel of Judas. Section 2. A Different World, a Different Christianity. But to really get what this gospel is saying, we need to step back and understand the world it came from. The early Christian world wasn't the single unified faith we might think of today. In the 1st and 2nd centuries after Jesus, there wasn't just one Christianity, there were dozens. It was a chaotic, vibrant, and fiercely competitive marketplace of ideas. One of the most influential of these alternative Christianities was a mystical movement we now call Gnosticism. That word comes from the Greek gnosis, which simply means knowledge. Gnostics believed salvation didn't come from faith alone, but from receiving secret divine knowledge from a messenger of God. Their worldview was radically different from what became Christian orthodoxy. Gnostics taught that the physical world we're living in isn't some divine creation, but a flawed prison made by a lesser ignorant god, sometimes called the demiurge. This creator, they argued, was the arrogant God you read about in the Old Testament. The true God was a totally separate, unknowable spirit. In this view, Jesus was a spiritual messenger sent from that higher realm. His mission wasn't to die for our sins, but to awaken the divine spark trapped inside certain people and show them the way to escape their physical bodies. This is the world that birthed the Gospel of Judas. And we know it's not just a modern theory. Way back in 180 CE, a powerful bishop named Irenaeus of Lyons wrote a huge book called Against Heresies, where he specifically called out and condemned a Gospel of Judas. For centuries, that was all we had, a footnote in a book burning. Its rediscovery proved it was real, and it gave us a direct window into this lost world of Gnostic belief. Section 3. The Forbidden Teachings of Judas. So, what does the Gospel of Judas actually say? The text opens by calling itself the secret account of the revelation that Jesus spoke in conversation with Judas Iscariot. This isn't a story about Jesus' life. It's a series of deep private talks. Right from the start, a line is drawn in the sand between Judas and the other disciples. Jesus finds the others praying to their God. He doesn't scold them. He laughs. Not a cruel laugh, but a laugh of pity for their ignorance. He tells them they're worshiping the lesser creator God, not the true God he came from. They're stuck, unable to get who he really is. When he challenges them to look him in the eye, they all shrink back, unable to handle his divine light. All of them except one. The text says Judas was able to stand before Jesus and say the exact words Jesus was waiting to hear. "I know who you are and where you have come from. You are from the immortal realm of Barbelo, and I am not worthy to utter the name of the one who has sent you." In the world of Gnosticism, this is everything. Judas gets it. He recognizes Jesus isn't from this broken material world. Because Judas has this unique insight, Jesus pulls him aside to reveal the mysteries of the kingdom. He tells Judas about the true God, the spiritual realms, and the secrets of the soul. Then, Jesus gives Judas a mind-blowing destiny. He tells him, "You will become the 13th, and you will be cursed by the other generations, and you will come to rule over them." Jesus knows that history will condemn Judas, but that spiritually, he will be supreme. Then comes the most explosive line in the whole manuscript, the one that reframes the most infamous betrayal in history. Jesus looks at his most trusted disciple and gives him one last critical command. "But you will exceed all of them, for you will sacrifice the man that clothes me." In Gnostic thinking, the meaning is crystal clear. The man that clothes me is Jesus' physical body, the prison of flesh, holding his divine spirit. Jesus is asking Judas, the only friend who truly understands the mission, to help him escape his mortal body. So the ultimate betrayal is reframed as the ultimate act of loyalty, a necessary step to set Jesus' spirit free. Judas doesn't sell Jesus out for silver. He sets him free on his own command. Look, this complete flip of Judas's role is wild. And it's just one of the shocking ideas you find in these ancient texts that didn't make the final cut of the Bible. If this kind of hidden history is your thing, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. We explore mysteries like this every week, and you won't want to miss what we find next. Section 4. The Great Debate, Hero or Heresy. The publication of the Gospel of Judas in 2006 kicked off a firestorm of debate. On one side, you had the sensational headlines, "Judas was a hero." This version of the story says he wasn't a greedy traitor, but the most enlightened disciple, the only one brave enough to carry out Jesus' most difficult instruction. His name wasn't a curse word. It was a symbol of loyalty. It's a powerful, compelling story, but it's not the full story. On the other side of the debate is the overwhelming consensus of biblical scholars and historians. Here's the crucial part. Scientific testing, like radiocarbon dating, confirms the Codex is an authentic ancient document from around the late 3rd or early 4th century. It's not a modern fake. However, and this is a big however, just because the book is authentically ancient, that doesn't make its story historically accurate. The consensus among scholars is pretty much unanimous. The Gospel of Judas was originally written in Greek sometime in the mid-2nd century, probably between 130 and 180 CE. That means it was written at least 100 years after Jesus lived, by someone who wasn't there. What that really means is, this text isn't a reliable diary of what actually happened between Jesus and Judas. Instead, it's an invaluable piece of theological writing that shows us what a specific Gnostic community believed in the 2nd century. It was written to promote their unique worldview and to challenge the authority of the mainstream church. Even the text itself makes it complicated. Jesus tells Judas he will grieve and be cursed, and at one point calls him a 13th demon, which adds layers of mystery that mess with any simple hero story. Conclusion: a new window on the past. So where does that leave us with this forbidden gospel? Let's be clear. Not a single mainstream scholar thinks this book contains the actual historical words of Jesus or Judas, but that doesn't make it any less important. Its discovery has radically changed our understanding of early Christianity itself. It's real, tangible proof that the story of Jesus wasn't set in stone from day one. It was debated, contested, and understood in wildly different ways. For centuries, all of these complex and sophisticated forms of Christianity grew and thrived, each with its own scriptures and its own idea of God. The Gospel of Judas is a ghost from that lost world, a voice that was silenced for over 1,600 years. It might not give us a historical hero, but it gives us something just as valuable: a glimpse into a radically different way of seeing the divine, and a stark reminder of the incredible diversity that was edited out of the official story. It forces us to ask, what other stories, what other ideas, were lost to the sands of time? And how does knowing they even existed change the way we see the foundations of faith today? Let us know what you think in the comments below.